Wounds are deep, but strength is near. In this room, leave behind your fear. Rise again, bend not bow. Trust this road, we walk it now. Grit your teeth, let's break the chain. Overcome this beast of pain. One more, one more try. Feel the power rise so high. Grit your teeth, let's break the chain. Overcome this beast of pain. One more rep, one more try. Feel the power rise so high. Broken pieces, stitch them tight. In this war, we'll claim the fight. Bone to bone and heart to heart. Rebuild strength and never part.
Ever stubbed your toe so hard you saw stars? Or had one of those headaches that just wouldn't quit?
Ugh, tell me about it.
Well, today we're diving deep into the world of pain, that universal alarm system, you know. We all experience it, but how many of us really understand it?
Right. It's way more complex than we realize.
Exactly. We're looking at a beginner's module on pain, and one of the things that jumped out at me was this whole distinction between acute and chronic pain.
Yeah.
It even says here that chronic pain is actually considered a disease state, not just like lingering discomfort. So as an expert, can you explain what that actually means for someone dealing with long-term pain?
Well, think of it this way. Acute pain, that's like a flashing red light, right?
Yeah.
It's your body saying, hey, something's wrong. You might be damaging something.
Okay, that makes sense.
But chronic pain, that's like that light getting stuck on, even after the initial problem is gone. So the nervous system, instead of calming down, it becomes hypersensitive.
So it's like an overprotective security system?
Exactly. It just doesn't know when to shut off.
Wow. That is a game changer in how we think about treating it then, right?
Absolutely. And it affects so many people.
Yeah.
Way more than you'd think. Chronic pain is actually more prevalent than heart disease, cancer, and diabetes combined.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of wild that something so prevalent is also so often misunderstood.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about it.
It makes you wonder, how did this whole complex system even evolve in the first place? Like, I get it, pain is essential, right? It keeps us safe.
Right.
But it's not exactly pleasant.
Well, think about our early ancestors, right? If they hurt themselves, they were more likely to avoid whatever caused that pain.
So they wouldn't get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
The ones who felt pain were more likely to survive. It was an evolutionary advantage, as weird as that sounds.
So pain helped us survive.
Mhm.
But how does that evolutionary legacy, play out in the modern world? Like, we've got comfy shoes and ibuprofen now, so...
Right. But it highlights how deeply ingrained pain is in our biology. It's not just a simple reaction. It's this complex interplay of nerves and signals, and our brains trying to interpret it all.
So let's try to unpack that interplay a bit, because this source gets pretty detailed about the actual pain pathway. And I gotta say, it sounds like a superhighway in there.
It is a complex network, but you have these sensors all over your body, right? They're called nociceptors.
Nociceptors. I've heard that word before, but remind me, what are they and what makes them so important in this whole pain process?
They're like little alarm bells, just waiting to be triggered. So let's say you touch a hot stove.
Don't want to do that.
Right. Your nociceptors are like, whoa, danger, sending an urgent message, gotta go. And that message races to your brain.
So are there situations where having like more or fewer nociceptors would be advantageous or detrimental?
That's interesting you say that. The number and sensitivity of those nociceptors can actually vary from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Genetics, past experiences, even your current health, all of those things play a role.
So someone with chronic pain, would they have like more nociceptors or are they just more sensitive?
Think of it like this. Those nociceptors are like the volume knob on a microphone. In someone with chronic pain, that knob might be turned way up, amplifying even subtle sensations.
So it's not just about how intense the stimulus is, but how finely tuned their individual pain receptors are.
Exactly. It explains why some people are just way more sensitive to pain than others.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so these nociceptors, they fire off their signal, where does it go? Straight to the brain.
Well, not exactly. It's more like a relay race.
Okay.
First, the signal goes to the spinal cord, and then from there, it travels up to different parts of the brain. Each part has its own role to play in processing and interpreting that signal.
And that's where things get really interesting because the source mentions this pain matrix in the brain. Can you break that down for us? What is that?
The pain matrix, it's not just one spot in your brain. It's more like a network of different regions that all work together.
So it's a team effort up there.
Right.
What are the key players on this pain team?
Well, you've got the thalamus.
Hmm?
That acts like a central hub directing traffic. Then there's the somatosensory cortex.
Yeah.
Its job is to figure out the location and intensity of the pain. You know, is this a pinch on my arm or a scabbing pain in my leg?
Gotcha. So one part of my brain is saying ouch, and another part is figuring out where and how badly.
Exactly. But it gets even more interesting when you factor in the limbic system.
It's the emotional center of the brain, right?
Right.
So how does that play into all of this?
Right.
So how does that play into all of this?
Well, the limbic system, especially part of it called the amygdala, is responsible for our emotional response to pain. You know, that feeling of fear or dread, or even just plain annoyance.
So you're saying like a paper cut can feel like a huge deal if I'm already stressed out.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not just the physical sensation, but it's how our brains interpret and react to it that really shapes our pain experience.
And to add even more complexity, there's the prefrontal cortex.
Right. Think
Yeah.
of that as like the executive assistant of the brain.
Okay.
It's helping us to make sense of the pain, trying to figure out what to do about it.
So our brains are analyzing pain like it's some complex math problem.
In a way, yeah.
Okay. So we've covered acute versus chronic pain, how the pain signal actually travels through the body. But the source also talks about different types of pain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Not all pain is created equal.
Right.
We talk about nociceptive pain and neuropathic pain. Those are two big categories with some pretty important distinctions.
Okay, those sound very different. Can you give us a little pain 101 on those two?
Okay, so imagine you slam your finger in a door.
Oh.
That immediate sharp pain, that's nociceptive pain. It's triggered by actual damage to your tissues.
Ouch. Makes sense.
Yeah. But then, neuropathic pain, that's a little different. Think more like a burning or tingling sensation, almost like an electrical current. That's more common with things like diabetic neuropathy.
So with nociceptive pain, it's like the alarm system's working as it should, right? But with neuropathic pain, it's more like the wiring itself is messed up.
That's a great way to put it. And that difference is really important when it comes to treatment, too. Because nociceptive pain, often traditional pain relievers can do the trick. But neuropathic pain, that might need a more specialized approach.
That makes sense. And while we're kind of on the topic of pain signals, can we talk about referred pain? That one always throws me off, like when someone has a heart attack, but they feel it in their arm.
Ah, referred pain, one of the body's greatest mysteries.
Right.
It all comes down to how the pain signals from different parts of your body can sometimes converge on the same pathway in the spinal cord. So your brain gets these mixed signals and can't quite tell where the pain is actually coming from.
So my brain's basically playing a guessing game.
In a way, yeah. It shows that our internal map of pain isn't always as accurate as we think.
Wow. Referred pain, it's like a prime example of how interconnected our bodies really are and how amazing our brains are for even trying to make sense of all those signals.
Right.
It reminds me of this one time I had appendicitis, but the pain started in my stomach.
Wow.
It really makes you realize how important it is to pay attention to those little cues our bodies are giving us.
Absolutely. Recognizing those patterns is so important for getting the right diagnosis and treatment. Now, ready for another fascinating aspect of pain?
Hit me.
Let's talk about the mind-body connection.
Okay, let's do it. I've always been curious about how our thoughts and emotions can actually influence how much we hurt. Okay, let's do it. I've always been curious about how our thoughts and emotions can actually influence how much we hurt.
It's wild, isn't it? We hear things like mind over matter or it's all in your head, but like most things, it's way more complicated than that.
So it's not as easy as just thinking happy thoughts and poof, the pain's gone.
If only it were that simple. It's not about pretending the pain isn't there. It's more about understanding how our mental state can either crank up the volume on that pain or dial it down a bit. One way to think about it is the gate control theory. Have you heard of that?
Gate control theory. Okay, that sounds kind of intense, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's actually a pretty cool way to visualize it. Imagine there's this gate in your spinal cord.
Okay.
And that gate, it controls how much of the pain signal actually gets through to your brain.
Okay, I'm picturing it. So what opens and closes this gate?
Well, you've got your physical factors, obviously, like how bad is the injury, right?
Yeah.
But get this. Psychological factors play a role too. If you're super stressed or anxious, or even if you're just hyper-focused on the pain, that gate, it swings wide open. Pain signals are like, party time, we're coming through.
Ugh, so you're telling me my worries can actually make my pain worse? That's kind of a cruel joke.
It's a vicious cycle, for sure.
Yeah.
But the good news is, we can also make that gate swing the other way.
Okay, tell me more about that. How do we close that gate?
Things like relaxation techniques, finding a good distraction, even just understanding what's happening in your body can help dial down those pain signals.
So it's not about ignoring the pain, but finding ways to, like, manage those mental and emotional reactions we have to it.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that mind-body connection and realizing we're not just along for the ride. We can take an active role in managing our pain.
I love that. This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of pain, what are some key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest one is that pain is not a one-size-fits-all experience.
Right.
It's this crazy mix of biology, psychology, even social factors. It's different for everyone.
And knowing that and understanding those different layers, like the types of pain, the way it travels through our bodies, and that powerful influence our own minds have, it's crucial if we want to manage pain effectively.
It really is. And don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, ask questions, try different things until you find what works for you.
Because knowledge is power, right? Especially when it comes to something as personal as pain.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
By understanding how pain works, we can totally change our relationship with it. It doesn't have to be this scary thing we just try to avoid. We can learn to manage it and live fuller, more comfortable lives.
Yes. It's time to change the narrative around pain. And listeners, that's a wrap on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new about how pain works and how you can start to manage it more effectively. Until next time.